The African Union Studies Symposium has been a very interesting platform for sharing ideas across societal groups. We have had young people, young academics, old academics, practitioners, as well as civil servants, people with international experience, African experience, regional economic community experience. And what I found the most useful was that this was an open-ended platform where there was no idea that was wrong, and every idea was received with respect. And for me, what is most important about the symposium has been its potential to bridge the gap between the academics and the practitioners. And I think that is something that has been lacking within the AU system, where we have the AU there in Addis Ababa. And yes, we have experts that have ideas, but I think that role of universities and academics has not been very clear in how they can impact the vision of the AU as well as the implementation of some of these programs. And I think its role going forward should really to bring in more civil servants into understanding how universities work, and also then for national governments, the regional economic communities, and the AU Commission to also give space to the academics to tell them the new innovative ideas they have that can help the AU and its member states in solving some of the challenges on the continent. One of the priorities for the African Union is regional integration. And regional integration includes the free movement of people, free movement of goods. And I think so far we have moved so fast or faster with the free movement of goods than with the free movement of people. The Africa Free Continental Free Trade Area is making progress, and it should be implemented very soon. But the challenge is we are putting goods before the people. And the African Union vision says Africa shall be managed by all its citizens. And for them to manage the union, it means they have to be integrated. For them to be integrated, they have to be free to move freely across the continent. The idea of the African Union passport has been introduced, but still I think two key challenges that have been highlighted by member states that have concerns about Africans moving freely in Africa is the issues of national sovereignty and the issue of national security. And for me, that is an excuse and an explanation which is derailing one of the most important indicators of success of the implementation of African Union priorities. Africans can't be afraid of each other because we already face so many challenges going to Europe. So if we are going to put barriers in place for our people to move from country to country, it means we are paying more respect to the Berlin Conference borders than actually we should be paying. We need to say we don't agree, we are one people, therefore let's move freely across the continent. Of course, we put in place measures to make sure that certain security measures are not broken, but we can't be at this stage 20 years after the transformation of the OAU to the AU still saying people cannot attend a workshop from Nigeria to South Africa because they couldn't get a visa. It doesn't make sense. I think the issue of democracy and governance has been addressed to many levels, or at many levels at the AU level. All the normative frameworks are in place. But what is lacking currently is implementation. Implementation mostly because even though the AU has the normative frameworks, the member states have not domesticated those frameworks to the national level. And at the end of the day, the success of implementation of AU programs is going to be visible on the ground, and on the ground is at national level. And instead of actually the AU Commission and the AU Assembly making more and more decisions around democracy, good governance and elections, for example, what they should be doing is maybe one summit can be for decisions, one summit can be then for the assembly to report to each other on what normative frameworks they are implementing at the national level. Because without member states implementing all these national, the continental frameworks are unimplementable. And the regs and the AU Commission can only be strong if the member states are strong. And so far, because of this issue of national sovereignty, certain people cannot be speaking about what is happening bed next door. We have challenges of accountability to each other, accountability to citizens. And the APRM was supposed to serve as one of the peer-to-peer review of what is happening in terms of economic governance, political governance, social governance at the national level. But even in the past 2 days, we're discussing how peer-to-peer is the peer review mechanism, because you have a report of the Africa peer review mechanism from one country, and all the other heads of state and government will keep quiet, which takes away the peerness of the Africa peer review mechanism, because people don't want to report to their colleagues on what is happening in their countries. 2 days ago, when we started the conference, one of the things I mentioned and demonstrated by photograph was a picture of the students' uprising in 1976 in South Africa, Soweto, and also young people that were holding guns during the liberation struggle of Zimbabwe. These were young people that were not called upon by anyone. They felt the need to liberate themselves and their people from political bondage. And independence, political independence, like Nkrumah said, it has been attained. Now it's the economic. And my call to young people and especially the youth, women, young people, and all citizens generally, is that the struggle was very participatory. Everybody was involved in it. But why is it that when it comes now to economic development and economic freedom, many people are staying away and asking to be called upon to participate? We hear young people saying, we need to be sitting at the table. We need our voices heard. Voices heard by who? Because you're supposed to be the actor in this economic jungle we are trying to get out of. So my call has been, beyond sitting at the table, actually be in the field, participate in the economy. Because while you're sitting at the table, someone is getting a piece of land to farm. Someone is getting a license to mine. We must go beyond sitting at tables. We must go beyond our voices being heard. We must be economic activists. And this symposium, I think it has highlighted and made it clear to young people to say, you are not going to be invited by anyone. You are the citizens. Come together as young people, strategize. The same way in the 70s, the young people strategized to give us political freedom, strategize to get economic freedom. The issue of culture comes from the nation. It comes from the regional economic communities, I guess, but all practice of culture starts at the national level. And when we say the AU, we are the AU, the young people are the AU. What do we teach them at home? So for me, the issue of culture comes from the very, very nucleus of the family. What are the things we do at home? What are the things we do at the village level? What are the villages we do at national level? Because we put all that together, that becomes African culture. So complex, diverse, but still very good culture. But what are we doing at the national level when we do budgeting? How much of it goes to culture? And which culture are we promoting? Because most of the budget goes to, let's say, modern singing, or when it's about cooking chips and chicken and boiling potatoes. What of our culture do we want to bring forward from the past? What do we want to promote? And then we put money into it, we teach the young people about it, and we practice it. Most families don't even eat any of whatever they call their traditional food. They don't eat. We buy rice from China. We buy beef from somewhere else, mangoes from Israel. We don't eat what we grow and what our traditional foods are. And some kids don't even know about it. So it's an investment we have to make. It's linked to our identity. Who are we? Are we proud of what we wear? Are we proud of what we eat, which is so-called African? And is it still relevant? So it's not everything that we're saying, let's bring forth, but those things that are still relevant, let's invest in them and bring them so that our future generations can grow up knowing what their food is, what their traditional way is, and they can make the choice of whether or not to wear it, but let them know it. I think in terms of the AU and the RECs, the one thing that they need to do is to focus on their comparative advantages. When it comes to implementation, I would say the AU and RECs should focus on multi-country projects, because those are projects that no one country can work on alone. If it's Cape to Cairo railway, let the AU and the regional economic communities focus on that. But the AU and the RECs cannot do everything. And the AU is made up of member states. So the AU cannot, or the Commission cannot be the one to want people to be economically free and free the continent from poverty and have sustainable development. You can't projectize the development of Africa. It can't be by project. It has to be coming from within the African people to say, this is where we are going. This is how we want to get there. And these are our investments so that we invest in our own development process. For now, everything, not everything, but most of the funding comes from development partners. Yet we say we want to be free. How does it happen that a continent which is so-called the richest in the world, its people are the poorest? Instead of adding value to our own minerals, we invite other people in the name of FDI, foreign direct investment, to say, come and mine our minerals. They mine the minerals, they sell the minerals, then we go to London, we go to Beijing, we go to Moscow to say, please give us money for our development. How does that make sense? Psychologically, how does it make sense? So until we change our psychology, our behavior, our identity in terms of who we want to be, yes, history has been painful, but we have to move forward. But we can't continue with the same practices of laying our aspirations in the hands of other people and expect it not to be economic colonialism. Political is finished, but now we've entered the economic. How do we get out of it?